Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. It is clear that Laura Ingraham is one of the most prominent hosts at Fox News. She is the host of the nightly show known as The Ingraham Angle. She is one of the most well-known conservative television hosts, political commentators, and authors in the United States of America. Her personal life is also rather intriguing, as she has never been married and only has adoptive children. This is in addition to the fact that she has a career that is quite unique. Please allow me to introduce you to Laura Ingraham's children, and she is still divorced. From Guatemala, here is Maria. Let's begin with Maria Caroline Ingraham, the eldest child of Laura Ingraham, who has developed into a figure of inspiration in her own right. The story of their relationship started in a modest orphanage in Guatemala, and it has since developed into a story of love, perseverance, and the importance of having a purpose. Maria's early years were marked by loss because she was an orphan when she was a child. She was born on May 11, 2005 in Guatemala. When Laura Ingraham, who was already a well-known figure in conservative media, came to bring her home when she was only 3 years old, her life was irrevocably altered at that moment. During her trip to Guatemala, Ingraham experienced a tremendous change in her life, which she has characterized as one of the most significant moments of her life. Maria, a young child of 3 years old, was waiting at the entrance of the orphanage, clutching a small plastic bag that contained all of her stuff. She recalled the first time she met Maria. During our conversation regarding the adoption, she referred to it as the most incredible few days I've ever spent in my life, and the best thing I've ever done. For her, the event was more than just the beginning of an adoption. It was the beginning of a journey that would change the course of both of their lives. It was at the time that Maria was settling into her new home in the United States that she and her mother began a journey together that was filled with learning and connection. Laura has expressed her affection for Maria by describing how she began learning Spanish at the same time as Maria was learning English. This demonstrates how both of them embraced their respective worlds. Their connection deepened as a result of the manner in which they came to know each other. Maria has developed into a young woman who is both intelligent and caring over the course of her life. At the age of 20, she is currently involved in the process of earning a degree in nursing, a profession that exemplifies her compassion and commitment to assisting other people. Laura has provided glimpses of her daughter's accomplishments, including her celebration of her daughter's graduation from high school and her encouragement of her daughter as she finished her first year of college enrollment. A heartwarming moment occurred on the Ingraham Angle when Maria attended the show and Laura made the announcement that her daughter will be attending Texas A&M University. This was a transition that signified another stage in her daughter's quest toward independence. Aside from her academic achievements, Maria has shown that she is dedicated to giving back to the community. By volunteering her time with cheerleading and gymnastics programs for young people, she has been able to coach and encourage others with the same compassion that she has used to define her own journey. Despite the fact that Laura Ingraham is well known for her strong beliefs and dominating presence on television, her role as a mother displays a more tender and profoundly personal side. She frequently refers to her children as her greatest blessing. In addition, the fact that she has a relationship with Maria is evidence that she is of the opinion that family is not limited to biological ties. Faith, love, and tenacity have been the pillars upon which Laura and Maria have constructed a life that is based on gratitude and development. Subsequently, after a few years had passed, Laura adopted her second kid from Russia, Michael, a Russian national. Due to the fact that Michael Dmitry Ingraham is Laura Ingraham's second adopted kid, and the first of her 2 boys, he occupies a very special place in her heart. Michael was born in Russia on June 1, 2008, and his story is one of love and tenacity that transcends boundaries and political tension, even though he was born in Russia. When Laura originally started the process of adopting him, he was only 13 months old at the time. He was a youngster who had no idea that he was about to go on such a significant voyage. On the other hand, Ingraham, who had already adopted her daughter Maria from Guatemala, desired to increase the size of her family once more. However, the process of bringing Michael back home was not as simple as it appeared to be. In the latter part of the 2000s, there was an increase in the political tension between the United States and Russia, which made the process of foreign adoptions even more problematic. It was difficult for Ingraham to overcome bureaucratic obstacles, lengthy waiting periods, and multiple levels of political red tape. Despite this, she did not waver in her devotion or her strategic approach. During the course of an interview, she recalled how extremely disheartened she felt when she saw youngsters caught in the middle of international conflicts. She made the following statement: "The children and what is best for them should be the primary focus of adoption decisions. It is unacceptable for one government to use children as a bargaining chip during negotiations with another nation. They do not constitute commodities." According to Ingraham, the moment when the adoption was eventually approved was one of the most emotionally charged times of her whole life for her. When she went to Russia to meet her son for the first time, she noticed that he possessed the same sense of purpose and hope that had compelled her to become a mother many years earlier. The mere act of holding him in her arms was enough to establish a bond between the two of them. Michael, who is now 17 years old, has developed into a highly intelligent and inquisitive young man over the course of his life. Michael Ingraham was regarded as being driven, kind-hearted, and full of energy by those who are familiar with the Ingraham family. The tenacity of his mother and his own independent personality are both reflected in all of these characteristics. In addition, he has developed a strong interest in sports, particularly soccer and basketball, and he frequently takes part in events at school and in the community that are reflective of his extroverted personality. In most cases, Laura expresses her admiration and happiness for her son, but she chooses to keep a significant portion of his life private in order to keep him out of the glare of the media. She has stated that the presence of Michael has provided humor and equilibrium to their household, and she has referred to him as the heartbeat of our home. She then returned to Russia, where she brought her third kid, Nikolai, with her when she returned. Russia's Nikolai is the one. Nikolai Peter Ingraham is the third child to arrive at the family home of Laura Ingraham in the United States. He originates from the frigid streets of Moscow and is the third child to arrive. Her path is one of quiet courage, beginnings that were unexpected, and maturing into her role within a loving family that is comprised of immigrants from many cultures. Laura Ingraham adopted Nikolai in 2011, when he was just over a year old. Nikolai was born in Russia in 2010, and he was adopted by Laura Ingraham. This was a choice that would usher in a new phase of her life from this point on. At the time that Laura brought Nikolai home for the first time, it was the third adoption in 3 years, following the adoption of his sister from Guatemala and his brother from Russia themselves. The global tapestry of the family became even more vibrant with the addition of Nikolai. He was the youngest of his siblings born in Russia, and was adjusting to the American way of life, the sounds, routines, and rhythms of a home that had been meticulously constructed by his mother, who was raising him alone. At approximately the age of 15 in the year 2025, Nikolai represents a moment of transformation. He is of an age where he can contemplate, and he is still finding out. The only thing that his mother has disclosed about him is that he adores swimming. She protects him from the public eye. Nikolai has been given the opportunity to cultivate his own hobbies and grow in a calm environment, thanks to her decision to keep him hidden from the general population. In spite of the fact that she is a mother to 3 children, Laura Ingraham has never been married and continues to raise them on her own. Despite the fact that she has been in a number of different relationships and was even engaged at one point, she does not appear to be interested in getting married, in contrast to other conservatives engaging in relationships and activities. Despite the fact that Laura Ingraham's private life has been the subject of news for a long time, her personal life has never been made public. In spite of this, she has been seen dating a few people in public, but none of them have resulted in a couple's marriage. The engagement that she had in 2005 was one of the relationships that truly stood out at that time. When Ingraham was a student at Dartmouth College in the early 1980s, she was a member of the Dartmouth Review. It was then that she connected with Desh D'Souza, a fellow conservative commentator. The fact that they both had a passion for journalism and politics brought them together, and there were rumors that they were going to get engaged, even though none of them admitted to being engaged. On the other hand, their friendship lasted well beyond their romantic relationship. In 2014, while D'Souza was facing legal issues, Ingraham sent a letter in his defense, in which he referred to D'Souza as one of the most remarkable human beings I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. Jump forward in time to April of 2004, when Ingraham made the announcement that she was going to marry James V. Reyes, a successful businessman. Reportedly, the two individuals had first connected through a blind date, and the engagement appeared to mark the beginning of a new phase in her life. On the other hand, just as Ingraham was beginning to make preparations for her wedding, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and subsequently underwent surgery and therapy. Not only did the illness affect her health, but it also caused havoc with the engagement. After some time had passed, she gave a public statement stating that the wedding would no longer take place, and there was no news about them being together again. Ingraham has frequently discussed how the experience of being diagnosed with cancer and undergoing treatment for it altered her outlook on life, the things that were most important to her, and the things that she desired for the future. In this sense, the engagement that took place in 2005 functions as a defining moment. In addition to being a significant romantic moment, it was also a turning point that had an impact on the path that her personal and familial life would take. Over the course of his career, Ingraham has been associated with a number of other prominent individuals, such as the former Senator of the United States Robert Torricelli and the pundit Keith Olbermann. Although neither of those relationships was confirmed in detail, it is evident that by the time she embraced parenthood through adoption of her 3 children, Maria from Guatemala in 2008 and Michael and Nikolai from Russia in subsequent years, Ingraham had significantly shifted the focus of her life. Maria was adopted from Guatemala, and Michael and Nikolai were adopted from Russia. She also noted that her own path did not follow the typical paradigm of getting married and having children. Ingraham stated that she is a firm believer in the significance of family and the usefulness of conventional structures. Rather than that, she stated that there are many different kinds of families. As she continues to raise her 3 children, she recalls her experience with breast cancer and how she overcame the challenge by overcoming it on her own. A journey through breast cancer. There was a sudden and significant change in Laura Ingraham's life in April of 2005, which occurred a long time before she adopted her children. It was revealed that she had a lump in her breast during the normal physical examination that she had. Something that began as a moment of worry when I was 4 years old turned out to be a task that would define my entire life. An aggressive kind of invasive ductal carcinoma was identified as the type of cancer that she harbored. She underwent the first of 2 procedures within a week of receiving the diagnosis, which was the first of 2 surgeries. The fact that the disease had not progressed to her lymph nodes was discovered through preliminary testing shortly after the initial procedure, which is a significant piece of evidence in her favor. Chemotherapy was the following step once the surgical procedure was completed. She underwent therapy for a period of 6 weeks, which was then followed by a course of radiation, which she finished by the end of October 2005. During the entirety of the process, Ingraham detailed how she relied largely on her religion, her family, and the steadfast support of friends and listeners. Despite the fact that she was aware of the power of prayer and the overwhelming outpouring of support from people all around the country, she made the decision to not classify herself as a victim. Rather than using the term survivor, Ingraham wants to use the title Thor, voicing his belief that the experience didn't merely take place to her only. Her intention to live her life was altered as a result of it. That way of thinking was what kept her going as she continued to was diagnosed with cancer. She has stated in interviews that the battle against cancer has provided her with clarity, heightened her sense of purpose, and prompted her to contemplate the order in which she should prioritize things. She once expressed the sentiment, "It was an awful time, but a glorious time at the same time." It was even possible, according to her, that life after cancer could be better than life before cancer. Following the completion of her treatment, she came to the conclusion that she wanted to become a mother, and made the decision to adopt her children. During this time, she has also been a public lecturer on the subject of breast cancer screenings. What ultimately inspired her to become more self-sufficient, raise children, and construct her own home was the agony that she went through. She has maintained a level of discretion regarding a significant number of the medical particulars, putting more of an emphasis on the insights that she gained from the experience. According to her own words, she desired to be remembered not as someone who had breast cancer, but rather as the mother or the friend who happened to have been diagnosed with the disease. She later became a prominent advocate for adoption after she made the decision to become a mother, after she had received treatment for her condition, advocating for adoption that is not political. As a major voice in conservative media, Laura Ingraham has established herself as a notable figure. However, one of the most significant contributions she has made is the advocacy she has done for adoption. She is a single mother to 3 children who were adopted from various countries, and she utilizes her platform to disseminate the message that adoption should be driven by love and homemaking, rather than politics. While she was attempting to adopt a child from Russia, she became aware of the challenges that were involved in adopting children as well as the effects that this had on the child. In her previous statement, she had stated that the children should be the primary focus of adoption. It is unacceptable for one nation to use children as a bargaining tool against another nation. Commodities are not what they are. When she uses those phrases, she is referring to what she considers to be a fundamental unfairness that occurs when international adoption is mired in geopolitical games or bureaucratic standoffs. As someone who has adopted children from both Guatemala and Russia, she is able to talk from personal experience about all of the difficulties that are involved. A number of projects, such as the Adopt a New Attitude project, which tried to raise awareness about the human toll of the Russian government's prohibition on adoptions by American families, were launched with Ingraham's assistance throughout her campaign work. In addition, she stated that the children who were left behind for reasons that were not their own should not be considered collateral damage in the context of diplomatic reprisal. She has expressed her regret at the fact that even a single incidence of abuse committed by an adoptive parent can result in blanket restrictions, which in turn makes it possible for untold thousands of children to continue to be without family. Taking into consideration the fact that Ingraham successfully navigates the junction of her public persona and her personal commitment, it is indeed fascinating. Whenever she is on the air, she is typically political without apology. On the other hand, when it comes to adoption, she makes a conscious decision to draw a clear distinction between her typical criticism and this cause. There should be no partisan divides in adoption, according to her, and healing homes or orphans should not be used as a tool for international posturing. She believes that adoption should be a universal practice. When she was younger, she once stated that it is cruel and self-centered to prevent the adoption of a kid of any age into a loving and secure home. For the children that she adopted, she discussed the difficulties that single women face while adopting children internationally, including the fact that adoption agencies and governments typically give preference to households with 2 parents. It has been stated by Ingraham that she desires to construct a house that is founded on love, faith, and permanency. She also applies this similar point of view to the care that she provides for her children, and she is commonly known for discussing the parenting philosophy that she adheres to. The philosophy of parenting. Regardless of whether or not Laura Ingraham is married, you will be curious in her approach to parenting if you have the opportunity to meet her children. The combination of all of her conservative ideals, her faith, and the practical reality of having 3 children who were adopted from other countries is a powerful combination. One of her primary goals in parenting is to instill a sense of responsibility and independence in her children. As a result of her public statements, it is evident that she is of the opinion that children are able to develop when they are aware of what is expected of them, and when they are encouraged to stand on their own while yet being anchored by moral foundation. In essence, she is always of the opinion that students should be taught to think critically and behave ethically, rather than merely being instructed on what they should believe and how they should conduct themselves. Ingraham noted that despite the fact that her profession keeps her in a high-profile and fast-paced environment, the role of a parent requires her to maintain more consistency and a genuine relationship with her children. When she talks about establishing clear structure, she mentions things like accountability and discipline, the importance of perseverance, the significance of integrity, and the significance of faith are all lessons that she instills in her children. Within the framework of her parenting philosophy, her Catholic values are also incorporated. Several times, she has mentioned the significance of faith in her household, stating that it serves as a basis for the principles that she instills in her children and contributes to the development of a feeling of purpose in them. Still, she strikes a balance between individuality and structure. The goal that Ingraham has for her children is not merely for them to obey her instructions. Rather, she wants them to examine the world around them, to be steadfast in their beliefs, and to develop into persons of character rather than conformists. She has been quoted as saying that being a single parent and raising children was the most challenging thing I would ever have to accomplish. Not only does she understand the additional levels of difficulty and responsibility that are involved in that relationship, but she also acknowledges that her belief is revealed. Without taking responsibility for one's actions, independence cannot be achieved. As part of her parenting technique, She also incorporates times of thankfulness and personal introspection. Despite the fact that she does not divulge anything about her personal life, she has stated in the past that she encourages her children to talk about the good things that have occurred throughout the day. In addition, she does not shy away from the various cultures that her children come from. Rather, she encourages them to grow and share their cultures within the context of their family. Laura has a tremendous love for motherhood and faith, and she frequently discusses her Christian beliefs, faith, and motherhood. In addition to her skills as a parent, Laura is also deeply committed to her faith. The path that Laura Ingraham has taken as a mother is intricately connected with her Roman Catholic faith. It is this faith that has served as the compass that has guided her decision to adopt as well as the manner in which she brings up her children. Following her exploration of her spiritual journey while she was a young adult, she eventually converted to Catholicism. As a single mother of 3 children, Ingraham frequently attributes her life to her faith as the foundation of her existence. Motherhood is a calling for Ingraham, who is a mother. She has expressed her desire to become a mother for a very long time, even before she adopted her children, and she has also discussed how her cancer diagnosis in 2005 prompted her to take action. While she has acknowledged that her faith has been a source of support for her during the most challenging times, she has also acknowledged that she is a single mom who is responsible for raising children. "That is the most important thing for me, my Catholic faith," she stated in a discourse she performed on Mother's Day. "That being said, I believe that things would be really challenging for me if I did not have that." Through the use of her faith, she imparts morals, character, and purpose to her children within the confines of her house. Additionally, she places an emphasis on qualities such as thankfulness, hard effort, humility, and service, all of which she learnt while growing up in a household that was affiliated with a religious organization. Through this action, she is working toward the goal of not only bringing up children who are successful, but also bringing up human beings who live their lives with purpose. As she put it, her objective is to be the best mother that I am capable of being. I hope that my children will grow up to be self-sufficient, powerful, and content, and that they will be as well prepared as they possibly can be for life in all of its glory. Even though her work is in the spotlight, Ingraham manages to keep her parenting grounded in ordinary Christian practice. She encourages thankfulness, introspection, and a perspective that is built in responsibility, rather than entitlement. In spite of the fact that her personal life has been riddled with highs and lows, Laura Ingraham continues to be a prominent figure in the conservative movement and a leading anchor on Fox News. A career as a prominent conservative figure, Laura Ingraham has carved herself a career path that provides her with the opportunity to combine sharp conservative opinion with media-savvy influence. She has established herself as a prominent figure in the field of right-of-center news broadcasting in the United States thanks to her remarkable trajectory. As a result of her early experiences working as a speechwriter in the Reagan administration, and as a legal clerk for a justice on the United States Supreme Court, she transitioned into the media with a distinct advantage. Her entry into the world of talk radio was the beginning of a significant new chapter in her public communication career. In 2001, she established The Laura Ingraham Show, which would later become a forum through which her viewpoints would be heard by people all throughout the country. The program addressed a variety of topics, including social, political, and cultural issues, and it struck a chord with listeners who admired her conservative views. A contributor speechwriter for Fox News Channel, she began her career there in the year 2007. In addition, by October of 2017, she had secured her own primetime television spot with the Ingraham Angle. In addition to its incisive interviews, the show is well known for its combination of criticism and conservative viewpoints. Aside from her position in the media, she has also been able to reflect and shape the larger conservative momentum in the United States while she has been in the media. Her writing addresses a variety of topics, including immigration, federal regulation, cultural shifts, and the debates around free change. Due to the fact that Laura Ingraham has not yet found a husband, you have seen her children. She has a distinctive perspective on life, and she provides her 3 children with love, responsibility, and faith as she brings them up. Are you of the opinion that Ingraham will either get married or simply adopt additional children? Please share your opinions with us in the comments section.